Jamars, ito ba ito available riba favorite podcasting platform. So riba Jamars po por riba Spotify of riba Apple Podcast y cualquier otro tipo platform. So today's a special episode. Mi lota papiano na English. So meeting me dad in the house. Anto mi quiero nos quedar un episode struggling y code switching from languages. Dus nos decidi con nos keep it in a comfort language for him. Anto nos va na English. But ko bisa ko may hobby questions. Papa span. So we hope excited to go over some of them and just have a conversation. Riba un topico kumi tahaya hopi importante e kumi definitely grateful too. Pating involve parents, pating parents ang kumi sampra sinti pata open about. I do mention that during my episodes. So I will basta escucha for uni nang to hopefully basta putresa conversation ng tambe sano riba dia di tata overi how do we see our parents anto what we are grateful for. So thank you for that. So without further ado, we have Theodorus in the house. Hi, Pop.
Hi.
Theo, can you tell us who you are and why you're here today?
Yes, I am. This is the
Okay, you don't like the headphones. That's fine. You don't have to like the headphones.
Yes, because I hear myself, so I don't like that. Yes, I'm Theo. I'm Caro. We call her Caro. Yeah, Carolina. When she was little, I called her Kaatje, but there is a time that you have to change it, yeah? So Caro, I'm Caro's dad, and apart from Caro, I have 3 other daughters. So altogether, we have 4 daughters in the family.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. And the eldest one is 20 years older than the youngest one, which is Caro.
Yes. So, we don't have to snitch on Desiree's age. But you do have a huge span of your first child to your last child.
Yes.
Which, from what I hear from a lot of people, is that I was lucky because you got some of the experience beforehand and maybe some of that trial and error beforehand. And then I kind of got, what do you call it? Like the less errors. But if I look at our personalities, I don't necessarily think that would be true because we're so different as people that I think that the approach that you took as a parent was completely different depending on the child.
That's correct. That's correct. And there is also another thing is that, of course, in those many, many years, lots have been changed. When my first child was born, there were no cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
We had still a black and white television. Yeah, there's only 2 channels in Holland, and so the technology has completely changed. There was no WhatsApp, whatever, nothing at all. And in 1980. I left Holland and went to South America. I lived in Ecuador, where my 3rd child was born. So I went with 2. So that's in those days that country was even 20 years behind. So we still had in the office equipment that was from the ancient times. Yeah. So. Also, the thinking of many of the people and the communication was completely different, yeah, and that has also its impact, of course, on how we get along with the children and how we educate the children and what the children were exposed to. So there is a lot of difference between the eldest, which is 20 years older, and the youngest, that is Caro, that's sitting next to me now.
Yes, and I love that we started with that because a lot of times what we hear from parents is that, back in my time, this happened a certain way, or we did things this way, we educated children this way. But, as you mentioned, you do have a span in age of your children. You were, by the time I was born, you were considered like an older dad, compared to my peers, for sure.
Yes.
Yet you were able to realize that and adjust. And I think that is one of the questions that we did get, what made you maybe so aware, or is it just who you are, that you were conscious enough to realize that your children were born in different times, not only as yourself, but different times within your children. And that meant adjusting how you go about everyday life as well.
It is easy because the children grow up, but as a parent you have to grow up as well. You have to like I said, in those days, that the early days, we didn't have phone, we didn't have anything. So I'm getting accustomed as well, and I'm always interested in new developments, etc. You know that, yeah? So I think it's automatically that also in the education of your children, you see that that you have to adapt to the new systems. Yeah. For instance, I don't have at this moment a TikTok and that kind of stuff. That is new, but I don't have it because my phone is full of memory. I don't have space for it, and I don't have the time for it. So it sounds strange because I'm semi-retired, but I don't have the time for lots of these things. And so, but nevertheless, I'm aware that it exists.
Yeah.
And I'm also aware that that lots of the new things that we have, and talking about education, is positive, but also lots of things is negative. Lots of things are negative. And so if people say, in my time I did this, and my time I did so, and so, I think that is, I have also a little bit of the things that I think, this is a pity that it doesn't exist anymore. Yeah? If we're talking about education and educating children, etc., I think it's very important that you have a close bond with your children. Yeah? And one of the things is that you have to have contact in a spiritual, but also contact in a physical way. Yeah, and so when they were young, I was always singing together with them. You remember that as well? Yeah, 3 maal 3 is 9, yeah, etc. Yeah.
Yes, I do.
All those nursery rhymes and those lullabies, etc. And that nowadays you see that we have now the television, we have the
phones,
the iPhone, the iPads. Yeah. So they give a child an iPad, and they don't really have the contact with the children anymore. And that's a pity, because I'm thinking that that is my opinion, that that vinculation, that bond, is less with the new parents and the new children. Yeah.
So, like you said, it's those are the things that you might look back and be like, we didn't have that, and that might have made it easier for you to connect with your children, but you are still aware of what it means and that it is happening, even if you don't have small children. So maybe you're not as inclined to make sure you understand how TikTok works and stuff like that. I can imagine younger parents do want to know, to be on there and make sure that they know what their children are on, or I hope so. But it is like you said, then you do have to find whatever is going on in that moment and adjusting accordingly so that you can still create those bonds, within the modern context.
Yeah.
What are tips that you can give parents to make sure that they don't outdate themselves? Because I mean, I'm sure that you went through that phase with your first children who are close in age, my sisters, and then with me, which was a while after, but you still had to make sure that you are not staying current only for your work and stuff like that, but also staying current for the young people, right? Just to understand what's going on around my life.
Yeah, they were not too close to each other. There was 4 years between each child, yeah, and between you and the last one there was 12
13,
years, yeah.
13, yeah.
And so what I saw is, at least in my children, is that the first one was taking over a part of the role with the third one.
Okay.
Yeah. So she was a substitute parent because she was 8 years older. And especially if you're talking about a baby of 2 or 3 years, and the sister is already 11 years, so the sister is an elder person for her, for the small one. So that helps in the education, because you're taking a little bit of the elders took then a little bit from the time that I had to spend over from me, from the mothers. Yeah. Okay. So that is an important thing. But nevertheless, like I said, everything is you have to be open-minded. I think that's the most important thing. For instance, I remember very well that on Tuesdays, when you were about 12, 13, 14 years old, we went together to the cinema every Tuesday. Yeah, because that wasn't a 2-for-1. Yeah?
Yes.
No.
And we
So-
both like movies, so that worked out.
And, yeah, we both like movies, so that is important, that you do those things if it's possible. Yeah, and with the elder ones, I was always trying to be present, like with you, when there were activities, and promote those activities. And I think that is part of the education for yourself, and open-minded. I think that is the most important thing. You have to be open-minded and not. I'm seeing, because what I'm seeing is that a lot of the things that, like the singing, etc., I took over from my parents. My parents did it to me. Yeah, and like for instance, your eldest sister is also a writer. Now, why is she a writer? Because she likes to write. But I spoke with her for the first, because first she was the first child, the only child.
The only
so
child,
she had all the
Attention.
all the attention, yeah. And that spoiled her a little bit. But she had all the attention. So, but I was always, every night, I took about half an hour telling a story. So we had, in those days, it was Jip and Janneke, yeah? Jip and Janneke was a book, but then I invented other stories from the Jips and the Jannekes, yeah? And I think that made an impact. And that could have been the basis why she is now a writer as well.
Why she likes storytelling,
And
because
she likes storytelling.
she doesn't only like writing, but she did cinematography, which is also storytelling. So she does have an eye and feel for storytelling, and that might be rooted in having those early life experiences, like you said, because she was an only child. You had at least 4 years where that was ingrained in her brain. Now, you mentioned, going to activities and being very active. In the cultural context of Aruba, because that's where I grew up. That's not where you're from, but I mean, you have been living here for as long as I exist.
Yeah.
So you adapt like all people, and some people are like completely immersed in a culture. Some people still retain some of theirs, but within the Aruban cultural context, gender norms in parenting are very strong. What a mom is supposed to do with their children and what a dad is supposed to do with their children. And like you mentioned, we would have one-on-one activities that we would do, but during the week, I still remember when mom also used to work, you switched over who picked me up and dropped me off at school, who took me to dance classes, and for the longest time, or for a period at least, you had a little bit more flexibility than she did, and you would take me to all of these activities. And usually, even when we see movies, so it's not only Aruban cultural concept, but when we see movies from the US or something, you always see the mom is in charge of the schedule of the children, and she's the one that's doing the pickups and the drop-offs and all that stuff. So other than convenience, because you could do that, why was it for you important to also be present doing those activities, taking me to those activities? But not only that, I also remember that we would have long conversations after every pickup, or you would try. I mean, when I got to be a teenager, some days I don't want to talk, but that's, I guess, every teenager. But we would talk about how did it go in ballet, and then we wouldn't just talk about how did it go in ballet, but you might mention a fact that you learned about the history of ballet. You still do this. You would search things up, and then so you can talk about it. So that for you was really important, and I'm wondering why, because obviously that's my norm, but that's not necessarily the norm for everybody. So why was it for you so important to not just be like, how was your day? Okay, great, but actually converse on these things. Because
Yeah.
it's different, right? It's
Yeah,
different to
that's
ask.
different. That's different. Now, I like it.
Yes, you like talking too.
No,
Although
no,
you're-
I don't like talking. No, I can be. Depends on
Depends,
where
exactly,
I am.
depends.
I'm there's no. Let's say 80% of the people I don't talk to because
Yes.
I don't like it.
If you have met my dad, you know this too.
Yeah, but the 20% I talk a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
But no, I'm not talking that I like it. I like it. I liked it to be involved. Yeah. It was not a burden for me to pick up for school and go to school, etc. No, apart from no, surely not. I liked it. I liked to be part of the life. Yeah, and I think that is that is different from many other. I'm not a role model. No, it is the way that I feel. Yeah, and I have to tell that could be that. Of course, you are formed for a big part by how you were raised. Yeah. No, my father had his. He was a shoemaker and a cobbler. Yeah, and he had his store at home, or we were living in where the store was. So I saw the whole day my father when I was not at
Growing
school.
up.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I saw the whole day my mother. Yeah, and my mother worked also together with my father, and she accepted the shoes to be repaired. Yeah. So I have always been raised by my parents, by both my parents. Not that my father had a role and my mother had a role. Yeah, it was mixed. Let's say that. And for instance, what you have most people in Holland, at least in those days, they had at lunch, they stayed at their office or whatever it is, and they had in the evening they had their supper. Yeah. No, we didn't have that. We had our main meal at noon. Yeah, when I came out of school. Yeah, and so our way of living was completely different than most of the Dutch people. Yeah. And I liked that very much. Yeah, and my father was also a storyteller. Yeah, and my father was also a singer. He always sang and was always whistling. Yeah, and my mother was my mother was present always. Yeah, in the same area. So for me, it was not something different when I had children, that I was involved with my children. Yeah, and I liked it. For instance, I'm talking about your eldest. Every Sunday, I went on my bike, and I had one of those rotan baskets in the back, and your elder sister Desiree was sitting in that one. Yeah, and I was going for hours by cycling in Holland. Yeah, and I liked it. I liked it very much. And so you can imagine when the other children came that she was a little bit jealous, yeah?
Of course, of course.
Yeah. But nevertheless, so...
you don't feel like it's a burden, and I think that's...
It's not a burden. And no, I liked it very much, and that's different maybe from other people, yeah?
Do you think that maybe there are people not being conscious when they are having children, to the point that I think there are people that are willing to have a conversation and be like, I don't think I would want to have children because I don't have the patience and it's not part of my personality, which I think is a very important realization that these people have. And then there are people who just go with the flow and then have a child, and then maybe they realize that they don't really like that and that they don't enjoy the presence of children and being like, their lives revolving around them. Do you think that more people should have these conversations? I don't know. Were you always certain that you eventually wanted children and that was like no question at all? Or were you somebody that is like, oh, it happened and turns out I like it? And should more people be having those conversations?
Oh, yeah. For sure. No. There is no doubt about it. You have to know whether you want children. And unfortunately, I'm not talking about Aruba, but in Latin America, I lived in many years, many countries. Yeah, they are having sex without thinking about children. Yeah, and no, I would like to have sex. And thinking about children when I want to have children.
Yeah.
And then if I don't want to have children, I have to take precautions. Precautions. Yeah. So, and unfortunately, that you see a lot. You see also, unfortunately, a lot on Aruba. Mothers that are alone. Yeah, and that is not correct. That is not the way I think that if it's avoidable, of course, that's different. Yeah, if it is on purpose, then it's all different. But if it's just because I didn't take any precaution, whatever it is,
and then I don't want to take responsibility.
Yeah, and then that's not correct. That's not fair to the children. It's not fair. And fairness is very important because life is not easy. I've lived 76 years old. Life has its ups and downs, but at least if you give your children a basis, and like I got from my parents a basis, then you can cope better with it, and you can cope in a more conscious way with it. So you just don't have children if you're not sure if you want to have children, or just for the just to have them.
But that might be a conflicting thought for some people to have, because like you said, it does require to a certain extent a level of self-realization where you were aware that you had a good basis growing up. Some people might have that and not even be aware that that is a good basis, and that because of that that those years where you had involved parents, etc., that you are who you are. And then, they might end up parenting children and not being present and assuming that things will turn out fine. But then it's not realizing that because of that presentness and the effect that you had the opportunities and the skills even to cope with life, but also to be prepared for life. Because you mentioned something like fairness and treating children with fairness. I have never felt like I was property. I hear a lot of parents, when they talk about their children, they talk about them almost as property. So they do this because I say so, because I'm the parent, and because I'm the boss, and I'm they're my child, kind of thing. I always felt like I was treated like a person, which meant that you took into account my personality and that you took into account, what I was feeling and thinking. And then, of course, you parented, you set boundaries and you set rules, but you still allowed for that space, which has allowed me as a person to be self-reflective and to have moments of like, okay, how do I really feel about these things? Instead of just taking them because it's the norm or because it's custom or because it's culture. And that can be hard because it means that you might have somebody in your house who might have a difference of opinion on things and who might, not agree with you. Yeah. How conscious were you and mom, of course, in the choice of allowing that to happen, allowing me to be my own person, and while also trying to instill in me, your norms and values, but still allowing me to explore and figure out what it is that I agreed with or liked or not. And, that comes with pushback too. So how did you deal with that?
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, I think having children is not something that should happen out of the blue. Yeah. No, you have to think about it, and it's not you and your partner, of course. Yeah. You have both have to think about it.
Both parties have to think about it. Yeah.
Because it's not my child. It's our child. Yeah. Our children. Yeah. And of course there are. Especially but maybe in general, there are difference between your wife, in our case, my wife, and myself, how to deal and how to handle children. Yeah, sometimes if I can remember, if I had an argument with my wife, I think 60-70% had to do with you. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because my view was a little bit different
Yeah.
than her. But you have to find a way. Always you have to compromise. No, the word compromise is very important. I think you have to compromise in a marriage with the wishes and the way a person is. But is your wife, yeah, or partner, or whatever it is, or yeah, partner is the best way, yeah, to say it. But also with your children, yeah. And most of the things that you have with your children, what I hate is when I see things in my children that I hate myself coming from me. Yeah. For instance, I have in certain ways I have a lot of patience, but in other ways I don't have any patience. No, if I see that in one of my children, yeah, then I hate that. That why is she's pushing and doesn't wait, blah blah blah, because that's me. I hate myself for that part. Yeah, I don't hate myself, but for that part. No, and so that you have to find a compromise also with yourself. You have to find a compromise. Yeah, and. I think that's very important. So coming back to how you deal with all those things is compromising. If it is so difficult to swallow, then just leave it for a moment. Yeah, and if there's really a thing that then I go outside and I'm gonna walk. In a little while, yeah. So that I can handle it for myself, and I expect and I see it with my children most of the time as well, yeah. And if they're getting older, if they are young, they had the tantrums, etc. Yeah, no. And if they have tantrums, there was one of the questions of what do you do with tantrums, yeah. No. If I may, yeah.
Yes, you may.
Okay, and tantrum is that that. You have to distract in a positive way, yeah, because for instance, when you were 1-2 years old, you had those moments that you were crying like hell. I don't know why, and then I took you in my arms, and when we lived in Bobali, or in Koyari, and I showed you all the lights from the hotels, and that helped, yeah, all the lights of the hotels. With my older children, I had other things as well. I was going just on a rocking chair. So yeah, so yeah, and then I was always talking in the third sense of myself, third person of myself. So yeah, papi's meisje, etc. Yeah. So I was doing that, and talking about learning and teaching, etc. I saw last week something very, very interesting about 2-year-olds that were also having a tantrum. And they showed in a video, on one of those, it was I think in the X, was now Twitter, yeah?
Okay.
In the Twitter, in X, that the mother or the person, I don't know, because they didn't show the person, took a little slice of cheese and put it on the forehead. And the child stopped immediately. And that was not from one child. They showed it by 4 or 5 children. So that is, you have to get him out of that tantrum mode.
But that is assuming that in your case, what you're talking child-centered. You're saying that the child is going through something and we need to address it. And it's very interesting to hear that, because I don't think you followed this, because I know that you're not too much on Facebook. But lately there has been some videos going around about some children who were having a tantrum or a meltdown in a daycare, and how the teachers at the daycare responded. And amongst that, some of the teachers were like, they said that they, hit the child with like a slipper, and they would lock the child and let them scream in a room and stuff like that. And how you are talking about the situation, it's not and you hear their voices, the teachers' voices, and they say like, yeah, the kid's so annoying and it's every time, and it's disturbing, etc. Whereas now when you're talking about a meltdown or something, I am sure that in the moment you feel a little desperate because you want the crying to stop, etc. But it's you also see that it is your responsibility to act and do something to hopefully suit the situation, rather than seeing it as being, like happening against you. And that perspective, I don't know, when I was little or something, did you see or hear from other parents that the way they spoke about their children or situations, was it different? Or do you feel like maybe you were around people that also felt like you, that were thinking child-centered rather than, this is annoying to me?
Yeah. A good question, doesn't have an answer, because I didn't interact with many other parents. Yeah. I'm not an interacting person for that, in that respect.
Yeah.
But what I tell, because I was preparing myself mentally for this interview, let's say, and I asked the third daughter yesterday,
Okay.
how I did it. Yeah, when she had a tantrum. Yeah, first of all, she said I never had tantrums, but of course she had tantrums.
Everybody has them. Yes.
Yeah, but she said, "Okay, Dad, you had a way that you could put your eyes staring at someone. That was not a very common thing to do. I know I had it from my father. That was sufficient in most of the cases. Yeah." And I had another thing, and I remember that well, that hardly ever, but if it really was in a moment that the child was going to such a tantrum mode that they couldn't stop for themselves, I said, "No, stop." Yeah. Otherwise, you go to the corner.
I remember the corner.
Yeah, yeah, to the corner.
Yeah.
I put you with the face, and you cannot walk around. Maybe I did it once or twice in the whole life with you. Yeah, and the same with all my children, because then the corner was sufficient.
Yeah.
Was sufficient for them to hey, now I have a little bit to. Otherwise, I go
And
to
it
the
also
corner.
served, because they were the longest minutes ever, but it also served as a moment for, and I can remember maybe one or two instances of the corner, maybe those were the instances, where I was like completely out of it for I don't know even what reason. And then being in the corner is one, a realization that, I did something that got me here, and then realizing, why am I really so upset, and was this worth it? So even from a young age, having that sense of consequence was very interesting, because I don't think that if I would have gotten like yelled at, and of course all of us yell, but that in itself, or like being hit, I was never hit by you two, maybe just once, but but like it was not common in our household, and I don't remember being grounded. I remember you telling me like once, I was grounded, and then we had to think about what that meant, because that's not something that we really did. But we did talk a lot about what happened. So, even after the situation calmed down, and we talked about why were you so upset and what happened, right? Even if I was just upset with Mom, we would talk about it. Like, why were you and Mom so upset, or what was going on? And a lot of other parents may say that, I don't have to explain to my children why I was upset. They did something, they upset me, and I'm upset. That's it. Or they got grounded. I don't have to explain it. But you still thought that it was important to, even after those consequences, to talk about it. Why was it for you important to explain what had just happened?
Okay. Talking about the corner, I remember only once that I was put in the corner by my father.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was in the elementary school. And let's say that the elementary school was from 8 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then in those days you could walk home. Yeah, I was walking home. But I didn't go home. I went with someone from my classroom. So I came home, let's say normally at 2:30, but I came 4. And so my father was very, very, very angry. I put me in a corner. But I understood thinking because he said, "Don't you think that I wasn't worried? Yeah, we were looking all over the place. We couldn't find you." And even at my age of 8 or 9 years old, I said, "What the heck? What did I do? This is ridiculous." Yeah, yeah. And of course, after that, I said, "Maybe I'm going today." No, you tell me, are you going for someone or you don't go? But not maybe. Yeah?
Yeah.
So you had to be concise. But my father explained me why he was so
Angry.
because he was so worried. Yeah, and that
But that requires vulnerability, right?
is responsibility, and so it doesn't work for me to tell your children because I say so. No, that doesn't work for me because what impact does it give? You have to show your children, at least try to show them that what they are doing is according to your norms, not correct. Maybe in the time the norms change. Yeah, maybe, and that's very important that you give the children a set of norms and then you give them because they cannot do it
By themselves, of course.
by themselves. But in time they are going to amend their norms, yeah, and then they have maybe they will tell you why they think that those norms that I had to be changed a little bit. Maybe not, but at least then you have to respect them. Yeah, and you can only do that by talking, and we talk a lot.
Yeah.
And you know, I talk with all my children a lot. Yeah. Now I'm not talking every day. Not talking with you. I'm almost every day because you're here. But with Holland, maybe I'm talking only once a month. But then I talk for an hour. Not and that is like yesterday. Your sister that had a nice promotion. Then we talked for an hour about how this happens and blah 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 blah. And that's nice. That is nice. So it's better that you talk profoundly than just how you doing? Fine. That, for instance. I no, you cannot generalize, but in America you come in a restaurant and say, how are you doing today? If it's the first time you're coming in, it is so fake, so I don't like it. Yeah, and then I lived in the United States, as you know. Then I said, it's not so good because my grandparent died or something like that. And they don't even react. Nothing at all. So you can see how fake it is. Yeah. No, that better you say nothing than fake. You say, okay, good afternoon, how are you doing? Yeah, that's different. But how are you doing today?
Yes.
No, this is fake. No, I don't like to be fake, and you know very well that I don't like to be fake. No,
And I
like
think
to
that is something. What you're saying right now is something that a lot of like the parenting books and all that kind of stuff and the advice give is that when you are talking even to your children and to people, right? In this case, it's random people you might not know. Be intentional. I mean, if you're gonna ask a kid how did it go in school today, and they say good, but you're not sure, ask about it more. What was good about it? What exactly did you do? And what did that mean? Because that is how you learn to know them, but they also learn to know you. But you have to be intentional. And I think that, that might be also because of phones and stuff. Our attention spans are so short now. And we are very distracted that we just ask like, oh, how was it today? And it's like, good. And then everybody just kind of, continues. But then you miss the opportunity to create these bonds. And then even in adulthood, when you feel like, okay, this is a time where I could, be more open with my parents, even if you are older, if you didn't create that bond, it's still going to be hard to open up and to talk about things because you didn't forge those bonds at younger age, right?
Yeah, but that is like in the beginning we said during the technology has improved a lot of things in life, but also it has taken away a lot of things.
Yeah.
And those cell phones, they have taken away a lot. Through those same cell phones, I'm able to talk to my children. And
exactly.
we have a sister in New Zealand. Now, how would I talk to her to New Zealand if there wasn't WhatsApp. Yeah,
Exactly.
now I can talk to her. Yeah, once
You can
every-
video call. You can do all of those things.
But
yeah.
but on the other hand is the interaction, the interaction between you and I is not by phone. The
No.
interaction between you and I is by talking. Yeah,
Yeah.
talking, etc. And you see now that they don't have time anymore. They oh yeah, you showed me that there are also questions now in high schools and schools to forbid you showed me, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
A good thing to forbid the telephones, because we were playing in my time. We were playing on the play field, a playground of school. We were playing. Yeah. Desiree, the elder sister, was still playing. Yeah. Now they are all in a count in order in the corner, watching their screen on the, and that is not playing anymore.
No, and
And
research has
that
shown-
is putting
Yeah.
that is putting there is no interaction between the students anymore in
No.
this respect.
Yeah, and and that's why the research is now being published, a bigger research, because I think the research has been going on for a while, but where they can see the actual spikes in age groups and how dramatic the spike was, not even since cell phones were introduced, but since high-speed internet was introduced, and it happened like very together. So smartphones, high-speed internet, social media, those three things created that, like you said, children have stayed inside more, so they don't learn to take risks. They don't learn from consequences. If I jump from that tree and I miscalculate it, I will fall and might break something. Those are things that might be scary for parents, but are important for a child to learn, to calculate, to understand how the world around them functions and their own capabilities, but also how to work on those capabilities and increase them. And now, because of social media and all of those things, they're staying more indoors and they're not even spending time. They're missing the opportunity to learn those things. And then when they go into the real world, they're very anxious because they haven't developed those skills as children,
Exactly.
But again, parents of those children grew up in different times.
Yeah.
And they're trying to go with the flow, but at the same time you have to be up to date. So you mentioned you're on X, you're on Twitter, you have been there on a while, Mom too, but you also like news, you like reading, and you like staying up to date. And that is something that, if I look at the questions, that is something that I very much like of my parents and of my dad. We can talk about politics, we can talk about world economics, we can talk about situations happening here, somewhere else around the world, and have discussions about what we think about these situations. But it has also made me a more aware person, so I can see dangers, or I can see something going bad before it's full-blown bad, because you learn how to see patterns, right? And that is something that I got from you, and I really appreciate it. But that has also helped you saying and staying aware of dangers of things. And maybe not enough parents are staying up to date with everything that's going on and being prepared for when those things happen. What would you say about that? Like, how can parents make sure that they don't stay behind?
Yeah. I have a granddaughter that is coming every Friday, at home, and she doesn't have parents that are very involved in that's a pity. And I'm too old to take over that role.
That role.
Yeah, and I'm worried, because that girl is sitting and she lives only by the phone. There is no other life anymore. Yeah, and fortunately, we take her on Saturdays to that the girls, Rainbow
Rainbow.
Girls. Yeah, that's that's the only social thing she has. Yeah, and I'm afraid I see so many children.
Exactly. Like she's the norm.
Yeah, she's the norm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so she is now the alpha generation or whatever it is, the Gen Alpha, yeah, or maybe 11.
She's
just
between Gen Z and Gen Alpha. She's like at the cusp. Yeah.
And Gen Alpha, yeah, and I'm very, very worried about that generation. Very worried, because and not because I'm an old guy. I'm worried because I don't see the basic skills to survive.
Yeah, and research is showing that, right? But
to survive it, I don't see it. I don't see it. And even if so, you saw so many children that at least if you go to play soccer or to play, they don't want. No, they don't want to play soccer. They don't want to play basketball.
They don't want to be
whatever it is.
outside. It's too hot. Yeah.
No, it's too hot, etc. This is what kind of. And I don't even know what she can see on those
Devices.
on devices, because there is a lot of abuse, and no, there are a lot of bad people in the world, So
To parents of those young children, what can they do to kind of fight that wheel that is going so fast? I mean, I would say definitely make sure that even through all of that noise, make sure that you forge connections with your children, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and if I were 20 years younger, maybe I would do it different. Yeah, but with her as a friend. Yeah, because I was 20 years younger when I had you. Yeah, and so I would do. And now we are at a different time, of course. Yeah, but I would go out with her much more.
Yeah.
I always went out with you.
Yeah.
Every Sunday and Saturday we went to the beach or whatever it is. We did something.
Yeah.
Or we went hiking or whatever it is. Yeah. But I don't have that stamina anymore. Yeah. To go with that. And she really has no interest. And it's not up to me.
No.
To do that.
No.
Yeah.
But then I think that a lot of people might be struggling with that. So to answer that question, I see that Denise, Dr. Sanchez, had that question, right? How do you? She has an 18-month-old. She's the one that also asked about the tantrums and stuff. I think that if anything, even through everything that's happening, I guess making sure that you prioritize those quality times. So if you can have like a similar thing to Tuesdays going to the movies, if you can make sure that even in the busy world of like social media and tablets and computers, you can incorporate family time that is uninterrupted. Doesn't mean that you have to be talking the whole time, because going to the movies, you're not talking with each other, but it is an experience that you are having together, which hopefully will create conversation afterwards. I think that that is something that will help. And research also shows that when children have strong connections with their parents, and for girls, when they have strong connections with their dads, it really helps with their self-esteem, and it really helps with how they see possibilities in the world. So the idea of having a feminist dad, a dad that believes that their daughters are equal to men out there, that really helps, that they have somebody who's outspoken and believe in themselves. So I'm just gonna go over some of these questions and see what we can still answer, because we only have 10 minutes, Dad. You said that you didn't know if you were gonna be able to talk for a whole hour, and I think an hour is not enough.
Yeah.
So let me see. I have an interesting question here. One of the questions is, what makes you feel proud of your children? What is something that makes you feel proud?
Of course, I feel proud that my children have succeeded a lot in what they aspired, what they wanted to expect it, what they wanted to
achieve for themselves.
Achieve for themselves, yeah. And that was also what Kimberly yesterday said. That one of my positive things was that we start with what the negative thing was. That I sometimes don't have patience. Yeah, no, I know that. Yeah, we discussed that already.
We know that.
Yeah, but the positive thing is that I always promote what to develop and to develop their strength. Yeah? And if that is in one direction or another direction, I always promote that. And I think with all my children, I have succeeded, or they have succeeded, let's say, not I, but they have succeeded what they wanted to succeed for
So they go for it, yeah.
And my role is minor, but I always promoted that.
Yeah.
And I always helped them in certain ways. I helped you, I helped all the others as well. Yeah.
He still does, by the way. I still send him stuff, and I'm like, can you read this?
Yeah.
And it's not just me. My sisters do that too.
So that makes me proud. Yeah, that makes me proud, and proud for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm happy for them. Yeah, and that is. I think, is that an answer to your question?
Yes, I think that is a good answer. I have another question here. This is from Cindy, and she asks, how can parents balance discipline but also empathy?
Empathy.
Yes.
That depends on the situation, of course, and on the children. Yeah, you have to have the character of a child is for instance, your second sister, Jessica, she as a child was very emotional. Yeah, but she kept it in herself. So if something happened, then I wasn't even aware, and then 3 days later she started crying. And started crying, and I said, "What's happening, Jess?" Blah 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 blah. And then it was for what happened 2 days or 3 days before that. No. So you have to know with your children exactly in which category they are. So you have to deal with a little bit more tact, and others you have to say, no, stop it. This is sufficient. Yeah, and that's not easy, of course, because it is personalized for each children, and by personalizing it, sometimes the other thing that's not fair, because he doesn't accept it from me, but he doesn't accept it from the other one.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's another person.
Yes.
But yeah, that you don't have to explain everything. You have to do for gut feeling, and you have to have a lot of luck in life as well. That is a very important luck in life, because it is not just me. Yeah, but if they are coming into a group of friends that are doing drugs, etc. That's not easy, you know. It's not easy, because as a parent, you know it most of the time too late.
Yep.
But what is important is that whatever problem you have, whatever thing is, talk to me. And that I tried to teach all of my children, always open. Whatever it happens, be frank, be honest. And I'm honest with them.
And that is the thing, right? Because when you ask something like that of them, you have to also show that, right?
Yes.
Because children are sponges and they do learn. So if they see that you are not an honest person, it might be hard for them to want to be honest. Or if they try to be honest and then that is met with resistance, or it's met with, anger, they might also close off and not want to be honest.
Exactly.
Again, right?
Exactly. Because most of the time is that you see it many in movies. Yeah, movies. Movies is entertaining, but also you can learn a lot from them. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you see a movie that why does she do that? She doesn't talk to her father. No, doesn't talk to the father or mother because they never accepted or never took the time or whatever it is. Yeah. And so you have to have and that balance. That balance is because you have your time, you have your work, you have to do. And I'm always been a busy person, you know that. Yeah, I've been a manager of many companies, etc. I had my own company. But you have to make that time. You have to make that, and you have to compartmentalize that in a certain way. And again, everything is a balance, and everything is a trade-off in your life, but not only in your favor. Try it also to in another
I
person's
like
favor.
that.
Yeah?
I like that. That might become a soundbite. Yes. Okay. So we have like 3 more minutes. So I'm just gonna go over, and you can only answer in one sentence because we don't have a lot of time.
So I have to be short.
You have to be short. Yes. So let me see. What is a favorite thing that you like to do with family? Like a favorite pastime with family?
Favorite pastime with family. Celebrate something.
Yes, I like that answer. Okay, we're just gonna continue. Okay. So I have another question here, and it's, what is the most thoughtful gift that you have received from your children, and that maybe you have given your children?
Okay. What I've received is so those small Father Days or birthday. Daddy, I'm so glad you're there. I like you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love you. That was one of the best things I got in my life, because that gives an appreciation. And what I give is, many people say that I spoiled my children. Yeah, they are. Yeah, my mother had the very thing. You cannot spoil children. There's no way you can spoil children, because your love is what you give, and you give by love. Yeah, of course it is different. You don't have to give a Maserati. Yeah, yeah, but that's an excess.
Yes.
But in general, yes. Yeah.
If
so
you can give them comfort.
Comfort is the most important
Yes.
thing. Comfort. Give them comfort. Yeah.
All right. So I'm just gonna go over some of these questions that were for me, and I will answer them. And let me see. Wait. Oh yeah. What is a skill that my dad has that I admire? I think it's definitely the willingness to learn new things. So, we didn't talk about who you were, who you are professionally as a person, but my dad was a chemist before, and then he became an accountant. So, he has a range in that sense, but he has never shied away of learning something new. So, if I say a word or a concept that he hasn't heard before or that he doesn't understand, he will just tell me like, I don't know what that is, and he will look it up and figure it out. And I think that is a very humbling skill that he has, but that I have also learned that I'm not gonna pretend to know what I don't know or give opinions on things that I haven't thought about before. And I think that is one of my favorite skills. Thank you for that, Dad. How does your dad inspire you? I think it's, like he said, the willingness to push and to set goals and then go for them. But also, him being present and liking that. I don't feel like I have ever felt like, him being present in something is a burden. My dad is the kind of person that when he has energy, he would volunteer with me. He would go do things that are social, although he's not a social person. So I think that is something that I, that inspires me and I appreciate. I don't know if we have this. What is one thing that we, always disagree on? I don't think there's something that we always disagree on. I think there's a lot of things that we sometimes disagree on, probably around like politics and stuff like that. But even then, we kind of find our way to like, I can see what you're saying, but I don't think we have like heavy disagreements on something. Do we?
Yeah, but because I've become a little bit older, my mother was, if she didn't like someone, she would say, "I don't like you." Yeah, she was honest up till to the bone, and if you see a situation that is not correct legally or whatever, you have also but sometimes you have to be a little bit more
Tactful.
Tactful.
Okay. So that might be where we disagree. My dad thinks that I voice my
that I've
honest
learned,
opinion.
yeah, but I've learned that the bad way, yeah, because yeah, so you have sometimes to be not always to have a big mouth, where yeah, because I agree,
Yeah.
it is wrong. Most of the time we agree that it is wrong what's happening.
Yeah.
But the way that you attack it, or that I would attack it, that is from experience. You have to be a little bit more
Tactful, yeah.
tactful.
So that answers that question. Dad, thank you so much for sitting down with me here. He did not wear the blue suit, if any of you were wondering. He did wear a blue shirt, so I appreciate the effort. We did a poll and a bunch of people wanted you to wear the blue suit, but I wasn't going to force you to wear a blue suit on a Saturday morning, Dad. Is there anything else that you want to leave everybody with, as we go into Father's Day tomorrow? Is there something that you might want to encourage dads or their children to talk about tomorrow?
Yeah, if you have a bad relationship with your dad, you have only your dad, yeah? So try to mend a little bit, yeah? And most probably he will also accept that.
All
and
right.
appreciate that.
Yes. Thank you. I think that is a nice tone. We can work on that. Thank you so much for listening today to me and my dad talk. And I don't know if maybe listening to this episode might have given you some insight into Sincerely Carolina and the person that I am, right? And why I am the way I am. And if not, that's okay too. But I hope that this conversation also encourages you to have conversations with your parents, with your dad, especially on a day like tomorrow. Talk about the things that you care about, the things that bother you, the things that make you happy. Tell them, the things that you might think of them, in a good way. Let them know what inspires you of them, what makes you happy, because time is short. Even if they're young, something could happen any day. So I am happy that we had this conversation on Sincere Carolina. We do talk a lot, but I think that having this moment has allowed me to also share some things that we hadn't talked about before. Thank you so much, Dad. And
Okay, you're welcome.
I don't think he'll be excited to come again sometime soon.
Congratulations to all dads, yeah?
Yes, congratulate all the dads for the awesome work that you do, and it is continuous work, as you can hear. It never stops, right? All right. So, again, if you are on your way to go shopping, be nice and kind. Retail workers are doing their best. I'm switching back to Papiamento now. Thank you for tuning in. Si vos escucha episode aquí towards the end. Anto, but as I'm wondering, di ko sa papiano na Ingles, sa papiano na Ingles, sa papiano kumitata. Anto, si bo chiar escucha episode aqui back bopori ba YouTube e Facebook di Cool FM, YouTube di Sincerely Carolina. Pero tam riba jamar sa tabay available riba bo favorite podcasting platform. I will see you again next week. Do let me know if there is something you want me to talk about. Si bo sa kiar pa nos tackle un conversasyong, algo ko ta happening, of algo ko portando si opitem sin papi di jele. Let me know. I am open for suggestions. Take care to my awesome sponsors. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. La Roche-Posay, Total, Pringles, Ecos. You are awesome. Thank you for allowing me to talk about whatever I want to talk about. I will see y'all next week. Be nice, be kind, and hopefully, we learned something new today that will help you make better choices. Bye. Hi, I'm Carolina, and I am the host of Sincerely Carolina, a series of educational conversations about current social issues with local and international experts. Make sure you tune in every Saturday on Cool FM from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Bye! Welcome to a cleaner, greener world with Ecos Cleaning Supplies. Are you tired of harsh chemicals and seeking a sustainable solution for your home? Ecos is here to help. A range of eco-friendly cleaning products is not only kind to the environment, but also tough on dirt. Made with plant-derived ingredients and free from dyes and parabens, our products are safe for your family and the planet. Whether it's sparkling floors, hand soap, dish detergent, spotless counters, or laundry that smells like a fresh breeze, Ecos has you covered. Switch to Ecos today and experience the joy of clean living. Find us at your local store, Do-It Center, Shaba, and Tara Eco Supplies, or visit www.taraeco.com. Ecos Cleaning Supplies. Clean consciously.